So, you've graduated from Dave Ramsey's Financial Coach Master Training, or FCMT. Awesome, and congratulations. It's a fantastic program for the teaching philosophy, the strategy, the tactics, and the nuts and bolts of financial coaching. Now, if you're anything like I was when you graduated, you might be saying to yourself, wow, that was amazing. Well, what do I do next? Well, the answer to that question depends on a few follow-up questions. Number one, what kind of coach do you want to be? Number two, who specifically do you want to serve? Number three, how do you want to serve them? You want to be a local coach, an online coach, a mixture of those things? And number four, how do you plan to go to market? And to help you answer some of these questions, I have a 60-second little quiz that will help you figure that out. The link is in the video description below for that. Now, I went through Financial Coach Master Training way back in 2017 when they still taught it live in Nashville, which was really cool. And I knew even then that I wanted to have an online business. And sadly, there wasn't a lot of guidance in the program as to how to do that. So that started my long journey of how to deploy my online business. And I made some major mistakes during my first few years of being a coach. And I would say that the biggest mistake I made after graduating FCMT was not understanding that the market I would serve must have the following 7 characteristics. It's got to be an evergreen market. It needs to be an enthusiast market. It needs to be a market with an immediate problem, a market with a future problem. It also needs to be a market that has players with money, and it also has to be a right-sized market, and also has to have right-sized competition levels. Now, I want to jump into a brief explanation of all these elements, and I've got a little something for you at the end.
There are actually 7 key ingredients that you don't want to ignore before you get started. And I would add here at the outset that this will be no less important to you, even if you already have an online business. And especially if you have an online business and you haven't gotten the results you were expecting just yet. This bit of data was a total game changer that ultimately led me to pivot my business into a different part of the market or niche that I was already in. Market essential number 1, an evergreen versus a fad market. So what you're looking for here is a market that continuously self-renews despite the time of year or the temperature or, any sort of passing characteristics. So an evergreen market is juxtaposed to a fad market that just sort of comes and goes. You can think of things like fidget spinners, mood rings, Cabbage Patch Kids, Beanie Babies. Those are all fad markets. And by contrast, some examples of evergreen markets would be fitness, personal finance, weight loss, dog care, personal development, entrepreneurship, or even something super specific like orchid care or bonsai tree care. But just because it's evergreen doesn't necessarily mean that it's a go market. We still have some more factors to consider. So let's next talk about market essential number 2, the enthusiast versus the problem solution market. So this describes a market where the buyers are highly enthusiastic about the topic, so much so they tend to remain buyers for a long period of time. Some examples could be, like antique collectors, weight loss, fitness enthusiasts, sports car lovers, guitar players, Lego lovers, home brewers, bonsai tree enthusiasts. So you want to think about it this way. What you want to be in a market where people tend to become buyers for life. For example, in the guitar player market, you have people who make a large purchase, like the guitar itself, and then maybe like an amplifier, but also purchase ongoing education products and products for the maintenance of their gear. And they do this on an ongoing basis. Now, in contrast, let's talk about the problem solution market that you really want to avoid. Some examples of non-enthusiast markets would be things like flea removal, mold removal, or roof repair, just to name a few. These are markets where someone is looking to solve an immediate problem, but once that problem has been resolved, they're moving on to other things. They're not enthusiastic about flea removal or mold removal. They just want to get that thing taken care of and get on with their life. So I don't want you to start a flea removal type of business only to become frustrated that you have to constantly get new customers as you solve your current customers' immediate problems. That is a recipe for burnout, and I say no bueno. Market essential number 3, an immediate problem. So it's not enough to enter a market that's evergreen and that's enthusiast. You also want to focus on solving an urgent problem in the context of that evergreen and enthusiast market. And that's where the immediate $1,000 to $10,000 problem comes in. So you're looking for a problem that has a high pain point attached to it, and say maybe it starts at $1,000, but it doesn't end there. The key question here is to ask, what is a $1,000 problem that under certain circumstances transforms into a $10,000 problem? What's a $1,000 problem that has the potential to become 10x under certain circumstances if it's not dealt with right now? One of the examples that I got from my mentor is the new pre-potty trained puppy owner that needs to travel with their new puppy that just insists on peeing on every piece of carpet that it sees. So you think about that. Now that could easily be categorized as a $1,000 problem if it's going around peeing on and ruining rugs and carpets. And you think about cleaning bills. It becomes a much bigger problem when you think about your dog peeing on, airport carpet or a business's carpet or other people's property, or in the belly of like a 747, possibly damaging equipment or cargo or other types of assets. So you're looking for that $1,000 problem that under certain conditions could turn into a $10,000 problem, which leads us to market essential number 4, future problems. What you're looking for here is evidence of additional future problems you can solve for that same customer above and beyond what that first problem that you might have already solved for them. Because once you've taken the time to solve your customer's urgent $10,000 problem with ease and integrity, you automatically set up yourself to become their trusted advisor. They're like, hey, this person really knows and understands my problems, and they're obviously competent and willing to help me do this. So your initial trusted advisor positioning automatically gives you the opportunity to sell additional products and services down the road. Now, for me, in this business, once I help my students get their online businesses set up, some of the future problems I can help them solve are how to grow their email list, how to grow their sales, how to build and sell high-ticket digital products, and coaching, and how to help them scale their businesses up to the 6-figure mark and beyond that. So if you can engage your market with that initial $1,000 to $10,000 problem, that gives you an open door to build your credibility with them, to continue to solve their problems that they'll have as a part of this, ongoing success journey that you're engaging them in. But even if you have all 4 of those and you don't have this one, your business is either not going to work or it's going to be way harder than it needs to be. Market essential number 5, players with money. This is the fatal mistake I made in my first online business that caused my business to grow like absolute pond water. My first business, ZeroDebtCoach.com, which is my personal finance brand, only had 3 out of the 5 of these market essentials. And missing this one in particular made a huge difference. And believe me when I tell you, it was not in a good way. That market is an evergreen market. Yes, it does have an enthusiast element, meaning that, a lot of my audience had caught some of the enthusiasm of the benefits of winning with money. It's definitely a market with a $10,000 problem, to say the very least, and also has future problems like how do I strategize to increase my income? What do I do once I'm out of debt? Or how can I get to financial independence? But the one thing that was missing was step 5, players with money. So while I had a huge heart, I was definitely very much a mission-oriented type of entrepreneur. I had a huge heart for people at the low end of the personal finance spectrum who were living paycheck to paycheck. I failed to recognize that their brokenness was going to be a major stumbling block to the growth of my business. I really wish I would have had this framework when I started. This would have totally helped me pivot to a much more profitable sub niche inside of the personal finance space, which I ultimately did. But I would have been able to do it much more quickly and gotten much better results. Okay. So let's next talk about a couple of additional market essentials that are super important. Ideal metric, number 1, market size. So why is this important? Because as Stephen Covey said, you don't want to climb a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. You want to make sure your niche is profitable before you spend your first couple of years in business, like I did, beating your head against the wall and asking yourself questions like, why isn't this working? In fact, I see so many of our new students just go all in on a niche that they haven't properly tested, only to get frustrated and scale back or quit altogether because they didn't know that there's either too little demand for the market or the market is too big to get into without spending a truckload of money to compete with the bigger players. So you want to do some testing of your market, and you want to do some testing of your market idea before you hurl yourself headlong into all the work that goes into creating content. And I think you have a pretty good idea of that. It's a lot of work. The good news is that there's a simple test that we can do using the free Google Trends tool to help us see if our market keywords are falling into what's called the ideal market size. So using a list of target keywords that have been exhaustively tested, and you'll have access to over 100 of these, you'll be able to tell whether your keywords fall within that ideal market size. Ideally, you want them to fall well within the range of the target keywords, as that's the indication that the market is not too big, not too small, but just the right size to be addressed by your new business. So as you can see here, the keyword Pilates falls way above our 3 ideal market size keywords. So you can see right here, this is, Pilates, this huge market. And these are the 3 that I showed you in the last slide. So you can see like they're just absolutely dwarfed by that keyword. So this tells you that your market is way too big to be reasonably addressable, unless of course you have a very large belt of money to break in and disrupt the space, like I said, against the bigger players in the space. So if you wanted to enter the Pilates market, you would definitely want to find a smaller niche within that market to enter into, like perhaps Pilates ball exercises. Maybe that's another keyword that you're testing. So this is a subset of the overall Pilates market, but unfortunately, as you can see, just kind of clicking over here, it falls well below our 3 target benchmark keywords. This tells you that your market is really far too small for it to be profitable. And you would just want to readjust your keyword and try to capture a slightly larger addressable market. So that's a brief overview of the ideal market size test. And it's absolutely pivotal that you run this test on all of your business ideas and all of your related keywords. And to round out our 7 key market essentials, we have ideal metric number 2, the market competition test. So for that, there's a simple test called the market competition test, where we do a quick set of activities over on Amazon.com to check the level of competition for our niche market by querying the number of sponsored information products available. And I'll show you a picture of this in just a second under your keywords. So this simple test will tell you, it'll help you to know how much competition you have and whether it's too little, too much, or just right.
So those are the 7 characteristics your market must have in order for your coaching business to be successful. Now, like I promised, I have a little goodie for you. It's a free workshop that goes more deeply into those 7 elements. I talk about them and explain them in much more depth. And we'll also talk about the mistakes you want to avoid as you're moving your coaching practice forward. The link is in the video description below. And if you're trying to figure out why your coaching practice isn't taking off as promised, just watch this video right here. I'm actually waiting for you over in this video right here.